guys, Fred, Sheila McCoy, Hatfield McCoy Museum, FredMcCoy.com. Sheila's behind the camera.
Hi guys, hope you're having a great evening.
This is going to be somewhat of a keeping it real. You know, on a list that Sheila and I have got of all these different things we've asked for over the years, one of them is the law degree or the bar exam or a diploma, anything at all where Cap Hatfield was a lawyer. We've asked for that. Nobody's ever produced it. Sheila and I got on a mission a week or two ago. Since nobody could produce it, of course, you know, sometimes evidence that's not there is as important as evidence that you've got. Something that you don't have may be as important as something that you do have. Because if you don't have it, you can't find it, and then it must not exist. And that's why nobody to this date, we've always said it, we've said that Cap Hatfield passing the bar, Cap Hatfield doing this and that was spoken in the history. So we got on this quest to research it. And we're just going to start with this book right here, Tale of the Devil, Dr. Coleman C. Hatfield, Robert Y. Spence, 3rd edition, page 245. Now, this is one of the places where it talks about Cap Hatfield having a law degree, being a lawyer. So we're going to start here, and let's see where it takes us.
Okay.
Now this video may be a little lengthy, and unless you're a real feud enthusiast, a real feud researcher, it's probably not going to interest you that much. I don't know. It's an interesting, especially at the end of it. Well, I'm not going to say at the end because we won't finish this video now.
It's ongoing.
Yeah, it's ongoing. We're waiting on some other documents. We've still got to make another trip or two to a couple of places, but we're gonna start the video now because it's going to be long, and so we don't get confused on what we've covered. Let's just start from the beginning. In the beginning, on page 245 of this book, it says that Nancy and Cap realized they would never be at peace until they found a way to use the new society to their ends. And it says here that Howard B. Lee, who interviewed Nancy Hatfield in 1930, gave her the credit for the couple's joint decision. At the urging of Nancy Elizabeth, Cap decided to study law and enrolled at the University Law School of Huntingdon, Huntingdon, not Huntington like West Virginia. This is Huntingdon, Tennessee. We found something interesting about that, but we'll go over it in a minute. 6 months later, a renewal of the feud brought him back to the mountains. He never returned to law school, but continued his studies at home and was admitted to the bar in Wyoming and Mingo counties. However, he never practiced the profession. Now it says here, when history reached the year of 1908, Nancy and Cap realized they would never be at peace. 1908. Okay. And it says that he enrolled in law school, and then a renewal of the feud brought him back to the mountains. Now, any of you researchers out there, you serious researchers, know that there was nothing that happened in 1908. There was nothing happened in 1900. There was nothing happened in 1895. After February the 18th, 1890, the feud was, what I say, 1995 or 1895?
1895, yeah.
After February the 18th, 1890, when Cotton Top was hung, feud was over. Feud was over. There wasn't nothing else that went on. Everybody had been sentenced to jail. Of course, the warrants were still active for Devil Anse, Cat, Johnsy, Robert, Elliott. Still warrants out there, but they were hiding. Nobody could get them. They were on the West Virginia side. The governor wouldn't extradite them back, and it was just a stalemate. But let's move on. In Coleman C. Hatfield's book, he writes, Pence writes, that Cap went to law school for 6 months in Huntington, Tennessee, but he had to return home because the feud had rekindled. That's a lie. Didn't happen. So Sheila and I, what Sheila and I did, this Howard B. Lee wrote a book, and the book's titled My Appalachia. We went and found that book. We found it, bought it. And that's the gentleman that Coleman C. Hatfield is copying after in his book. And once again, Sheila and I have said for years and years that these people that's not family members, that's not related to the Hatfields and the McCoys, they copy their books from other books. And this, from what I can understand here from reading, this statement here that we're going to read next is from Robert Y. Spence. That's the guy that helped Coleman C. write the book. Now, I don't know if he put this in the third printing. I don't know if he put it in after Coleman C. was deceased. I don't know. Some things you just don't know and can't find out.
Okay.
And this guy interviewed Nancy Hatfield in the 1930s. And he says, now let me explain something to you. Nancy, Cap Hatfield died in 1930 of a brain tumor, and he died. I think he was 66 years old. And this gentleman interviewed Nancy Hatfield in 1930. It's interesting. It's interesting. And she died in 1942. I think she died 12 years later, Sheila.
Yeah, I was in the 40s.
But the funny thing is, this gentleman didn't write this book till 1971, and a reprint 1975. 1971. She died in 1942. He writes the book in 1971. She's dead. She's dead. How much stuff in here is what she actually said? How much stuff is the truth? When somebody's dead, let's move on.
Okay.
They said that he enrolled in the University Law School at Huntington, Tennessee. There's no such law school. There's a Huntington Law School in Alabama, Montgomery. We called there just to see. We knew that's not what they were talking about, but we called there. No record of William Anderson Hatfield, Cap Hatfield, no aliases like that, ever studying law in Huntington Law School in Montgomery, Alabama. We couldn't find one in Tennessee, Huntington University Law School. So we called City Hall in Huntington. Real nice. I'm going to tell you something. Sheila's going to talk about.
Those people are really nice, yeah.
Sheila's going to talk about it later on. We have, during the years that we've been writing books and researching the feud, and you're going to hear about some people here in a minute that we talked to in West Virginia. Some of them even kin to Levacy's family and so forth, ancestors and descendants. And we've talked to some of the nicest people over the years at these clerk's office, judge's office, county attorney's offices, bar associations. There's some really nice people out there. All through the years, from the Hubert Bay case, anywhere, that's always helped us, went above and beyond to try to help us research a case that we're working on. Moving on, we talked to the city clerk in Huntington, Tennessee. She says there is no law school there. Never has been a law school there, as far as a university of law. And
with that name.
Yeah. She says that once upon a time there was a Southern normal University, it was called, Southern Normal. So you guys can research for yourself, university. But it closed in the early 1900s. It was closed by 1908. And again, I wrote here, 6 months later, he dropped out. Feud had rekindled. Not true. Feud was over. Says he's admitted to the bar in Mingo County and Wyoming counties. Now, he never returned to law school, but he took home study courses and was admitted to the bar in Wyoming and Mingo counties. However, he never practiced the profession. That is in this book, and that's where they got it from to put in this book. Now, there's going to be another statement here in a minute. Mr. Howard B. Lee stated in his book, Cap never practiced the profession. Mr. Pence writes, because if it was Coleman C., he wouldn't be referring to the Hatfields like that because that's his family. But somebody writes on page 245, Lee was slightly mistaken on that point. The Hatfields recall that Cap did not try many cases, but that he was active in defense of his brother, Willis, who was tried in Wyoming Circuit Court in Pineville, West Virginia, for the murder of Dr. E.O. Edwin Thornhill in 1912. Mr. Pence writes, Lee was mistaken, the Hatfields recall. Don't want to speculate, but we'll tell you what we found out. Or better yet, what we didn't find. Called the West Virginia Bar Association. It was established in 1947. Cap Hatfield died in 1930. So Cap Hatfield was, of course, they can't find his name because they wasn't even established yet. Called the Tennessee Bar Association. They was established in 1881. So they would have been there in 1908 when they're saying that Cap got his law degree. They have no record of a William Anderson Hatfield. William Hatfield, Anderson Hatfield. They have no record of any of those names in any order. Even Cap. No record. Tennessee Board of Professionals. They referred us to after that. No record of William Anderson or William or Anderson. Tennessee State Museum. Reference any names that they might have in the museum of attorneys that were certified in the state of Tennessee to practice law, that passed the bar and so forth. No record, nothing there on William Anderson, Cap Hatfield. Huntington, Tennessee University of Law, no record, no such school exists in Tennessee. Talked with the lady from City Hall. I'm going over it.
Yeah.
No university law school. That stayed on 245. We checked all the accredited law schools in Tennessee. There's only 6. Vanderbilt University in Nashville was established 1873. So it would have been around then. They have no record of a William Anderson, Cap Hatfield. University of Tennessee Law School in Knoxville, 1890s when it was established. No record of William Anderson, Cap Hatfield. Cecil C. Humphrey School of Law in Memphis, Tennessee wasn't established till 1962, so he died in 1930. He's not going to be there. Lincoln Memorial University, Knoxville, established 1897. No record. Cap Hatfield. William Anderson, Cap Hatfield. Duncan School of Law, which is a sister school or something to the Lincoln Memorial. Anyway, no record of William Anderson, Cap Hatfield. Belmont University College of Law, Nashville, wasn't established till 2011, so he wouldn't be there. And Nashville School of Law, Nashville, Tennessee, 1911. Well, they're saying that it was 1908 when he would have gotten his law degree. 1911 would have been past it, but we called Nashville School of Law, and there's no record for Wilm Anderson, Cap Hatfield. Now that's what Sheila and I did. We contacted the Mingo County Bar Association and talked with, the Bar Association was established in 1886, so it would have been around at that time. We talked to Truman Chaffins. Extra
Very
nice.
nice, polite person.
Oh yeah, extra nice guy. He told us to call back and talk to a lady, and Sheila's emailed her. We haven't heard back from her yet. But we told him what we was looking for, and if you recognize that Chaffin name, if I'm not mistaken, he's probably some relation to Devil Ance's wife, Levisi's family through the years. And told him that we was researching where in a books it had said that Cap Hatfield was an attorney and that he served with the Bar Association in Mingo County and Wyoming County. And he said he doubted that, and I said I do too. I don't think it happened. So we're still waiting for the lady, and that will be the latter part of this video probably. When we finish up, we're still waiting on some other stuff. And we talked to Wyoming County. We called to see when the Wyoming County Bar Association was established. And we talked to a Judge Harco, John Harco. Extra nice fellow.
He was really sweet.
Oh, everybody we talked to, even Wyoming County Clerk, Emily. I mean, it's just, these people they go out of their way to help us. And the judge here, we asked if he knew anything about it, and he said know anything about it. We done a play on it years ago. And he said he was in the play. Well, we talked briefly, and he was going to see what he could find out, and said if he found anything, he'd call us back. Now, that was yesterday. Last night, Sheila and I was talking. Sheila says, well, I wish we'd asked that judge what part he played. Because I'm thinking, well, he probably played Cap, you know. And he called back this morning with some information that he had found. And I asked him, I said, Sheila's wanting to know about that play you were in. What part did you play? He said, I played the judge.
Of course.
He's a judge. He's an attorney, been there for 40 years, and he's a judge, and he played the judge in that play of Willis Hatfield's, I think it's a reenactment of Willis Hatfield's trial. So this man has got some firsthand knowledge of that case. Now, I'm going to go through this slightly just to see if there's anything at all that we need to touch on. You know, Cap's son, his stepson, because, you know, Nancy, and there's always been rumors, there's always been speculations about what happened to Nancy's first husband. He was murdered. He was waylaid. He was bushwhacked on the road and killed. Some said over the years, and it's in several books, but some has said that they thought that Cap fell in love with Nancy and wanted her for his own, Nan, and that he had actually killed her husband. Cap killed a lot of people. Cap, it didn't bother Cap. I mean, I'm talking from Stephen Hatfield stories that he's told us. Cap was something else. Now, we got this book, we ordered it, we got it in, and on page 56, chapter 10, A Mountain Queen. A Mountain Queen in the fall of 1930. Now, I'm going to have to read some of this, but it will give you an understanding of what we're doing here. This is the gentleman. This is by Howard B. Lee. This gentleman was actually the Attorney General in West Virginia in the years, former Attorney General of West Virginia, 1925 to 1933. And how he got to meet let's just go through this chapter here, okay?
Tell how you met her, yeah.
In the fall of 1930, the West Virginia Newspaper Owners and Editors Association held its annual meeting in the town of Logan. I was invited to address the gathering at a morning session. The same day, Sheriff Joe Hatfield and his brother Tennis, youngest sons of Devil Anse, gave an ox roast dinner for the visiting newsmen and their guests. The picnic was held on a narrow strip of bottomland on Island Creek, a half mile below the old home of Devil Anse and almost under the shadow of his monument. I ate lunch with Nancy Elizabeth, widow of Cap Hatfield of feud fame, and his sister-in-law. I'm not going to read the whole story to you, but I will tell you this. It says that he visited Cap in 1924 when he was campaigning. And said he got a taxi cab to drop him off, take him to Cap Hatfield's house. And says he pulled up to the creek there where Cap Hatfield's is, the taxi driver, and said, that's Cap over there in the yard. And he told the cab driver to pick him up in 2 hours. And he got out of the car and he started walking toward Cap and said he was there soliciting his vote, and said he noticed Cap cross his arms while he slipped his hand into his jacket. And if you'll remember, Cap carried a shoulder holster. That's common. Step right over, Sheila, and just show that shoulder holster and show that picture of him on what Cap was known to carry. And this gentleman says that he stuck his hand in because he was still leery. He never took any chances. And he says that he was the Republican nomination for Attorney General, and I wanted the Hatfield influence. Devil Anse had died, and with his leadership of his clan and his family, they had power in Logan County, and he wanted their support. Sad. I read this stuff and I think, you know, how things are and how things was. And, you know, things are still like that today, some of it. But anyway, he got Cap's wife. Evidently, she was evidently she is real, she must have been an inspiration. Here you go. There's Cap's wife. There's Elizabeth. Now, I'm going to tell you something about this. I'm going to stray from this story just a little bit. I want to show you how, you know, all through life and I'm fair. I don't care what people says. I'm fair. I try to McCoy, Hatfield. It don't matter.
That's right.
And because I am Hatfield and McCoy. I happen to have the surname of McCoy, but I try to tell the truth on both sides. You know, I'm not going to go verbatim and read you this book, but Nancy Hatfield in here tells this gentleman, and again, he didn't write this book till 1971. She died in 42, so I don't know how much of it is what she really said or what authors write. You know, but according to him in his book, where she met Cap at, guys, her mother was Emma, right there, Sheila. I see her picture on the top right. Right there on the right is Nancy Hatfield, Cap Hatfield's wife. That is Emma Hatfield. That is her mother.
Right here.
Guess who Emma Hatfield was?
Who?
She is the sister to Devil Anse Hatfield. Emma Hatfield is Devil Anse's sister. So that means Cap and Nancy were cousins. That's his aunt. Now she says, or he says in his book, that Nancy told him that her family had to make one West Virginia, and that's where she met Cap Hatfield at and fell in love. They're cousins. They grew up together. They knew each other. It's Devil Anse's sister. So when you read stories and they leave stuff like that out, or they write it in a different way to try to refocus your attention or do something, it makes you wonder how much of their story is true. Guys, this story goes on, and it's almost too unbelievable to repeat. And again, this is 1971 that he wrote the book. Is this what she said, or is this what he said? See, I don't want to, when you can't prove one way or the other, I don't like to say something, because I don't know which one of them. Somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. I don't know. Author? We know we've got authors that don't tell the truth. I won't name them, because we've turned over a new leaf. We're going to try to go into, I won't name them, but there's authors that tells anything they want just to write a book, say they wrote a book. You know, and that's mostly authors that that's not even kin to either family. That's authors they're not even related. And some of them, shucks, some of them's related and don't even know who their great-grandmother was. But we'll go on. Somebody says in this book, he's the author of it, he wrote it. He says in this book that she told him that in 19 something, that they brought Devil Ants, that Cap Hatfield or Tennis Hatfield went and seen Randall McCoy, 1922, that Tennis Hatfield went and seen Randall McCoy, shook hands with him and talked to him, and he brought Randall McCoy to West Virginia. Randall McCoy said it was after his dad died, so it would have been, Devil Ants died in 21. This was 22, and Randall McCoy told Tennis, I'm glad you come to see me. I'm sorry I didn't get to see your dad. I wanted to talk to your dad before he died, and I'd like to see Cap. And Tennis supposedly took Randall McCoy to see Cap Hatfield, and they stayed together all night and talked and just fell in love with each other. And guys, in the book on page 61, I'll just read it to you, and let's see, listen real close, you historians. Let's see if you catch anything, because Sheila certainly did. I now think that my anxious moments, as well as my greatest thrill, came years after the feud was over. This is supposedly Nancy speaking.
Okay.
In 1922, Tennis Hatfield and another deputy sheriff went over to Pikeville, Kentucky to return a prisoner wanted in Logan County. While there, Tennis visited the aged Randall McCoy, surviving leader of the Klan during the feud. Tennis was born long after the feud was over. The old man was delighted to see Devil Ants' youngest son, and Tennis spent the night with him. The next morning, Randolph told Tennis that he was going home with him, that he wanted to see Cap. He said that, and tell him how glad I am that I didn't kill him. I am sorry Devil Ants is gone. I would like to have seen him too. Tennis was worried. He didn't know how Cap would receive the old enemy. Guys, now I'm going to give you a second there to ponder on this. Now I'm going to read that first line again. In 1922, Tennis Hatfield and another deputy went over to Pikeville, and they run into Randolph McCoy. 1922. Devil Ants died in 1921. Sheila, when did Randall McCoy die?
He passed away in 1914, guys.
1914, he took a little trip. He was gone.
Yep.
Randall McCoy was dead.
Yep.
But in this gentleman's book, this Attorney General, this was one time the Attorney General in West Virginia.
Yep.
And in his book, on page 61, right there, you can stop it and read it for yourself. Says that in 1922, Tennis Hatfield and another deputy went to Pikeville, and they brought Randall McCoy home with them. Wow, I'll bet he stunk.
That's incorrect.
1922, guys. Sorry, guys, she had to put a fresh battery in. Probably go through another one before we're done here. Guys, if you'll remember, it wasn't till Randall McCoy died in 1914. Devil Anse died in 1921. So they're both dead. By 1922, they're both dead. Now, in 1928, Tennis Hatfield was in Pikeville and run up on Jim McCoy. And Jim McCoy and Tennis Hatfield shook hands and made peace. Remember, Tennis Hatfield had nothing to do with the feud. He was a little boy. He wasn't even born through half of it. But he had nothing to do with it. And that's who Jim McCoy, that was 1928, right, Sheila?
Yes.
Because in 1929, Jim McCoy.
He died.
He died.
He passed.
He died a year later.
Right.
After making peace.
Mm-hmm.
But now look at your book here. I mean, this is what Sheila and I talk about. And I'm not saying we're perfect. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes. But this is a huge mistake.
Very.
This is the same guy that says that Cap Hatfield got his law degree. And then after he said it, then it's copied here in this book about Cap getting a law degree. I'm trying to find a date, but anyway, that's how these books, that's how things have done over the years in the feud.
Yeah.
And the same gentleman that says that Cap Hatfield got his law degree and become a lawyer is the same man that says that in 1922, Randall McCoy went home and said he wished he would have got to talk to Devil Anse. Devil Anse was died the year before. We're going to finish up on this story as we get more evidence in.
Yep, we're still waiting.
As of right now, like I said, sometimes evidence is not just something you can hold in your hand. It's what's not there. It's not there. And, you know, we got some interesting stuff coming up. We've got some more, but I want to see what Sheila gets tomorrow and see where that takes us. And then we'll tie all this story in together. You won't have to wait because we're going to go straight into it from this.
Right.
And
right. We'll just add it on to this one. So
yeah. And it should make for how much time you on right now?
Well, it's going to be, this one here is about 35, almost 40 minutes.
By the time we get done, it should be close to an hour. I'm sorry for the long videos. I know everybody don't stick with long ones. They don't like them, and that's okay. We understand that. If you're a true historian and you really want to do the research and want to know the truth about a topic, and this is a very important topic, saying that a man's a lawyer and that he passed the bar and that he done this and he done that, graduated law school and all passed the bar here. 2 books that says he passed the bar. So it's very interesting. We need to see, and we're gonna find out. So we'll just tie in later on.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to pick up where we left off at. I'm not going to do a presentation of where we're at or what we're doing. If you're watching the video, she's just going to splice this part in with the first part.
Yeah.
We've been working on this, Sheila and I have, for several weeks now on Cap Hatfield's law degree, supposed law degree, supposed bar, passing the bar, all these different things dealing with Cap Hatfield being a lawyer, an attorney. Everywhere Sheila and I have looked, under every, oh, that's Cotton Top.
Hello, Cotton Top.
If you look at the top of his head, you'll see that, here buddy, now.
There he is.
So we've nicknamed him. He used to have a different name, but we've renamed him now. He's AKA Cotton Top because of that white spot. We started to call him skunk hair.
Yep.
But watch him, he'll answer anything as long as you give him a bacon
As long
bit.
as you give him a treat.
You can tell he's a Hatfield and McCoy dog because he loves bacon.
Nope. Get over here.
We give him these little bacon treats. He likes that. He's got a haircut and he's been picking at himself.
Yeah.
Back to the story, guys. We everywhere Sheila and I looked, every state, Tennessee, Alabama, everything that we tried to do to follow leads that people had said that Cap Hatfield had passed the bar, that Cap Hatfield went to law school, that Cap Hatfield All of them turned up negative. Nothing. Zilch.
Yeah, we couldn't find anything.
There's no proof that Cap Hatfield ever went to school to be an attorney, ever passed the bar, or anything like that. Now, we contacted Mingo County Bar Association, Wyoming County Bar Association, and of course Truman Chafin is Mingo County Bar, extra nice gentleman, and I forget his first name, but Herco, Judge Herco is in charge of the Wyoming County Bar. Now, if you'll remember, Wyoming County, Mullins, is where back in 1911, January the 31st, I believe, somewhere in that area, I'm sorry, December, Sheila, correct me when I get wrong.
December 31st.
Okay. December the 31st, there you go. And you can put that at the back, maybe.
Yeah, I'll take a picture of it.
December the 31st of 1911 in said county, E.W. Hatfield, which was Emmanuel Willis Hatfield. He was feloniously, willfully, maliciously, deliberately, premeditatedly, and unlawfully did slay, kill, and murder E.O. Thornhill. Now that's the case. Over the years, we've read where this person said, oh, Cap Hatfield represented his brother. Even in the Coleman C. Hatfield book, it says where Howard Lee had said that Cap had got a law degree, but he never practiced. And then in the Coleman C. Hatfield book, it says, well, he was incorrect there. He did practice on one case when he helped to represent his brother, Willis Hatfield, rather. And the judge that sent us all this paperwork, first of all, we can't thank him enough. Just one of the nicest. What, Sheila?
I said thank you very much.
One of the nicest gentlemen you ever talked to, and just went out of his way to help us. And
he was really kind.
And he sent, just like any good lawyer, any good judge, he sent what we needed. Still doesn't explain mine and Sheila's question as far as the bar, him passing the bar. You know, a lot of these books, they say, oh, Cap passed the bar. Well, if you passed the bar, there should be some kind of a record of it. If you went to law school, there should be some kind of a record. That's okay. We're gonna go by that.
Yeah.
Well, Sheila and I are gonna stay with the evidence that says Cap Hatfield was never an attorney. Okay. Never a certified attorney. However, the judge sent us a newspaper article here, dated Friday, March the 24th, 1912.
Okay.
And down here it's talking about who is representing Willis Hatfield for killing Judge Thornhill. Not Judge, but Doctor. Dr. Thornhill. And it says the prisoner was represented by C.W. Osteen and Cap Anderson Hatfield, a brother of the defendant who lives at War, and J.M. Glenn. Now we know that Glenn was an attorney. We know that. He went on to have a successful law business in the Logan County area. So we know that, Joe Glenn, and that was Cap's stepson.
Right.
That was the son that his wife was pregnant with or already had when her husband was killed, and Cap came in and raised him as his own, more or less. And our question here would be, this article is confirming that Cap Hatfield is sitting at the defense table helping to represent his brother Willis.
Right.
And he's there with Joe Glenn, and he's there with two other attorneys. Now, our question would be, was he there as an attorney? Or was he there merely as somebody that Joe Glenn, you got to understand, back in them days, just like the judge was talking about how informal things was, how take a test and say you was an attorney, or tell somebody you was an attorney and then welcome you in.
Yeah.
And that sounds like something Cap, Cap was not beyond he told a lot of stories out west as to who he was or who he wasn't, and different things. Cap was pretty much he was a survivor. He got by. So did he come in there and tell them he was an attorney, or did he show them documentation, or did Joe Glenn just bring him in there and say, hey, he's going to be helping me with my case and representing his brother?
Yeah, since that was his stepfather. That
was his, and exactly. It's been an interesting quest. At the end of the day, E.W. Hatfield, there's the court records, indictment for murder for E.W. Hatfield. And at the end of the day, it says, we, the jury, find the prisoner, E.W. Hatfield, not guilty of murder in the first degree or the second degree as charged in the indictment. We do find him guilty of voluntary manslaughter to the charge. J.H. Blankenship was the foreman of the jury, and that's who signed it. And of course, Willis was sentenced to 4 years in prison for killing Dr. Thornhill. Now, if you'll read the case on it, way back in the newspapers when it first happened, they wrote how Willis just pulled out a gun and the doctor had insulted him, or he insulted the doctor, and the doctor smacked him, and he pulled out a gun and shot the doctor. When it went to court, they proved they had a different take on it. Whether it was Cap, whether it was Joe Glenn, whether it was some of the other attorneys, they made note that this doctor was 6'5", 230 or 40 pounds, big man. Said he was humble, easy to get along with, but on the first newspaper article, when he was first killed, that's what the newspaper said. Now, when they're giving when they're trying to defend Willis, they're talking about what a huge man he was, 6'5", 230, 40 pounds. And after Willis had insulted him for not giving him a prescription for some liquor, that the doctor smacked him so hard or hit him so hard that it broke his nose 2 places. Jury starts coming back with a different, you gave them this other side now. Now it's looking more like self-defense. Willis testifies, and Willis says, I thought he was going to hurt me. I thought he was going to kill me. Such a big guy, and when he broke my nose and had blood everywhere, couldn't see. And I feared for my life. Well, even today, what's it take for a self-defense plea? You fear for your life. And the person has the means or the ability to take your life. Evidently, they proved their case. He was looking at first-degree murder. They finally found him guilty of voluntary manslaughter. Was it voluntary or involuntary, as you said? Well, let's make sure. Thanks for asking, because you know me, how I do. Guilty of voluntary manslaughter. Voluntary, okay. That's the same thing that they found Alan Hatfield guilty of when he shot Hubert Bay McCoy in the back of the head. Okay. Voluntary manslaughter. They sentenced him to 5 years hard labor. I think the sentence for that is from not under 1 year and not over 5. So they gave Willis a break at 4 years, but Alan Hatfield, they sentenced him to the max, 5 years hard labor. Guys, that's going to conclude this video on Cap Hatfield. I hope it's been as interesting to you guys following us as it was for us researching it. You know, for years, Sheila and I have asked the West Virginia Hatfields, prove this, prove that, show us proof, show us. And, you know, there's a part of us that wants to say, hey, let them show everybody else. The funny thing about people, the West Virginia Hatfields over the years, is that when there was a story about, in the newspaper, that Ellison Hatfield in 1882, he pulled the first knife. When him and Tolbert McCoy was fighting, he pulled his knife first. That was in the newspaper. And they said that the knife, when he stabbed at Tolbert, the knife closed up cut his hand and he dropped the knife. When he pulled his knife, Tolbert McCoy pulled his knife. So Tolbert's going ahead and stabbing him. But when that come out in the newspaper that Ellis and Hatfield pulled his knife first, West Virginia Hatfields at the time said, that's yellow journalism. That's not true. That's not true. Randall McCoy, when he was burning the cabin, the cabin massacre, and they killed 2 more kids and beat his wife. The newspaper says Randall McCoy escapes from the house with a double-barrel shotgun, firing 2 more rounds, both barrels at the same time as the Hatfields was headed back to West Virginia. That's when he shot Johnsy and Cap. He done shot Chambers on the roof, and he shot Cotton Top. Understand, the man's shooting birdshot, so it's going to scatter, especially birdshot, nothing more than BBs. And they've got big winter coats on, if it was as cold as what everybody said it was. So I'm sure that the BBs didn't penetrate that far, but he hit them. He hit them. But the Hatfields over the years said, Randall McCoy escaped into the woods. He ran and hid. Nobody, that was, that's true journalism there. It's funny how people picks and chooses
what's true and what's not.
Yellow journal,
What's true and what's not.
Yeah. The yellow journalism, and when it's not yellow journal, when it favors one family or the other that's telling the story, it's yellow journalism. But if it's good for that family, they say, whoa, that's the truth. You could count on that newspaper. That was a good reporter. And Sheila and I, we don't want to be like that.
No.
I am Hatfield, and I am McCoy.
That's right.
And we don't want to be like that. We want to, even though we don't advertise all these books that says the true story, the real story, rescue and history, all these titles that acts like they're the true, factual. Nobody knows the complete facts of everything in this feud.
That's
Nobody,
exactly right.
Including Sheila and I.
Well, sure.
Difference in Sheila and I for years. And there's a lot of other people now, a lot of other authors now trying to go with documentation. They've seen what Sheila and I have done over the years, and they say, well, we use documentation to prove our point. Well, you didn't. You didn't before Sheila and I started it. And now people's demanding it. People want it, don't they, baby?
Yeah, they like it when we have proof backing up what we're saying. I mean, that's legit. It means it's legit. So
that's what they want to see.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to show you.
Exactly.
So, even though some people says, Fred and Sheila, they don't like the West Virginia Hatfields. They don't tell well, we do. This here is a exculpatory evidence for Cap Hatfield. This is tending to show that he very possibly, I won't say that he was an attorney, I won't say that he passed the bar, but he definitely, according to this newspaper, according to that newspaper. Now thank you, Judge, for sending us this
exactly
stuff.
We appreciate it, sir.
But and she'll take pictures of that and put in there the story. It's hard to read. You have to take a magnifying, which I'm old, so my vision ain't what it was. But we want to show the other side. We want to be fair. I wish the Hatfields would go do this. I don't think Sheila and I, the West Virginia Hatfields, if it concerns the Kentucky Hatfields, the Kentucky McCoys, Sheila and I's all over it. I don't think we should have to go prove your all's case. This is the same evidence that's out there. And there's a lot of people that's got these Hatfield McCoy things on Facebook. Why don't they go do this? You know, Coleman C. Hatfield was the first person to ever post the wrong picture of Constable Floyd Hatfield, identifying him as hog stealing Floyd. Never been corrected to this day. And we get stuff on a daily basis from people that's showing us where this same person is coming up with new things, it's not factual. I won't go there.
Good job, babe.
We won't go there. We're turning over a new leaf. We're doing the West Virginia Hatfields research for them. This research was out there for them. just like it was for Altina Waller. I know I won't go mention no names. Altina Waller years ago says that there was no record of Randall McCoy ever serving, that Hatfields was in West Virginia, McCoy's is Kentucky. All these different things. Everybody hated Asa Harmon McCoy because he was Union. Heck, Kentucky was Union. So she's one of the very authors that got everything started in the wrong direction and had people believing and writing other stories that was incorrect. And that's all it takes is some of these people copying the wrong authors or taking what they say as the truth and it being false. And here's your documentation that proves what Sheila and I were saying was not so. We said Cap was not an attorney. We're going to maintain that until we see something certifying him as an attorney. This is a newspaper article. This is nothing court records. This is nothing from a college. Again, the colleges that they said that Cap went to law school at never existed. It was never a law school. Yeah. They said he come home in 1908 because the feud had rekindled. Well, anybody knows the feud never rekindled after 1890. It was over. So we know that's false. But so the newspaper, how much credibility can you give it? We're going to give it some. Yeah. We're going to give it because they're quoting things that he said there. Not going to drag it out. I just think that Sheila and I, for those people that says Sheila and I are one-sided or we just only tell what this or that, guess what? We just completed an investigation that's took up 2 weeks of our lives, a lot of travel, a lot of phone calls, a lot of things that we could have been doing something. We could have been fishing, but we're working on this. We're trying to prove that Cap Hatfield wasn't a lawyer. And I think we maintain that, but at the same time, we're also showing evidence that at least he defended his brother, at least with other lawyers in his brother's court case. I think instead of making the stuff up and writing it down or putting it on Facebook pages, why don't you go investigate it? Take some initiative, guys. Don't just sit there and be a keyboard Rambo and write it up. Go investigate like Sheila and I did. The stuff's out there. Now, a lot of the stuff to this day, you can't go by military. You can't go, all the Civil War records are out there. These people that's coming up with these Civil War records for Jim Vance and different ones, they're Photoshopped, guys. The tombstones are I'm not going to go there. Guys, in closing, this is going to conclude this video. We just wanted to make one addition to it. And, you know, this is a long video. On these long videos, we don't watch them make them for the general audiences. This is for the historians of the Hatfields and McCoys, anybody that would watch an hour-long video of something. And in watching that hour-long video, if you get 1, 2, 3 things out of it, then that's great. At least you learned more than we knew before.
That's right.
And Sheila and I worked so hard trying to prove our case, you know, and we're going to maintain Cap was not an attorney. Cap never passed the bar. Cap never attended law school. We maintain that. You know, being in a newspaper, just because they had him printed in the newspaper, doesn't mean a lot. We're going to give it to him that he did help in the defense of his brother. We'll give him that. He helped Joe Glenn in the case. Now, you know, if you got to understand that we done a video the other day on where they had the ox roast, and all the West Virginia newspaper owners, West Virginia newspaper editors, everybody. We know that Devil Anse catered to the news industry. They loved Devil Anse. They sold papers because of Devil Anse's history and life. So they liked him. He made the news. And that's what news people do, is sell. So did you ever see a West Virginia newspaper that doesn't favor Devil Anse or the West Virginia Hatfield family? You're never going to see that. And Sheila and I was looking. The prisoner was represented by C.W. Osteen of the Fayette Bar.
Yep.
Cap Anderson Hatfield brother of the defendant who lives at war. Mr. J.M. Glenn and Mr. Ralph Shannon and Mr. Bailey of the Wyoming County Bar. Did you catch that, guys? Again, sometimes it's what's not there that is your best evidence. You've got 4 attorneys that are announced what bar they are with. When it comes to Cap Hatfield, it says from War, West Virginia. That's where he was from at the time. So, you know, I think the newspaper, again, it's the left hand doing this while the right hand's doing this, and it's a distraction. It's something that unless they didn't want to type in there that he wasn't a lawyer. They didn't want to type in there falsely that he belonged to a bar, but now they did in the book.
Well, in the book, they said he was active in assisting the trial. Active doesn't mean that you're an attorney. Nowhere did it say he was an attorney representing. It said he was active.
That's excellent, Sheila, and that's true. Just because you're active in a trial, there's all kinds of attorneys that has witnesses or different people that sits right there with them on the as a police officer. When you're trying a case, you sit beside the prosecutor because he can look over and ask you a question if he wants to know what he needs to ask next. Just because Fred McCoy was sitting beside of a county attorney or a Commonwealth attorney during a criminal case, just because I'm sitting beside of him doesn't make me an attorney.
Right.
It makes me assistant or active in that case, and that's a good point. Guys, I think we proved our case. Again, it's been interesting, but Cap Hatfield was not a legitimate, certified, bar-passing attorney. That's why they say he never represented any cases. Well, he couldn't represent them because he's not an attorney. And just because something is printed in the newspaper doesn't make it true. But even the newspaper tried to be fair. They didn't try to. They put him down there that he's representing. The prisoner was represented by C.W. Osteen of the Fayette Bar. Cap Anderson Hatfield, a brother of the defendant who lives at war. Mr. J.M. Glenn, Mr. Ralph Shannon, and Mr. R.D. Bailey of the Wyoming County Bar.
They didn't say Cap was.
Does not say. We could find no record where William Anderson Hatfield had ever graduated any law school. We could find no record where he was ever a member of any bar. In fact, it says in one book that he was a member of the West Virginia Bar, or Mingo County Bar, wasn't established till 1947.
Yeah.
He died in 1930. It's going to conclude this video. We're going to leave it at that. And Sheila, excellent diagnosis there. I talk forever and ever. Sheila can say 5 words and make more. But just because you're active in a case doesn't mean that doesn't make you an attorney.
That's right.
Makes you an assistant. Makes you helping somebody. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Listen, let me have that. And I'm going to...
Hi, guys. Hope you're having a great evening. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this little video on Cap. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye. How'd you like this? This was a wild ride, wasn't it? This was. It was very interesting. It really was. I don't know. It's cotton top. Cotton top. You want? Yeah, give them a. Hey, give them a. Cotton top. Sit. No, sit. Sit. See, he's cotton top. Sit. Good boy. She says sit, he stands. She says roll over, and he sits. She's spin. Hey, no, spin. There he goes a little bit. Yeah.